A 14-year-old is facing charges in adult court for what the district attorney says was an intentional act. So far, election officials say voter turnout is lower than expected. I'm here near Leinenkugel's parking lot, where in the background you can see investigators are still working tonight. The Winnebago County coroner in Illinois said the death was suspicious because of injuries on his body. Today, the Altoona Police Department is sharing what could be the motive for the homicide. The Eau Claire Area School District is in the final phases of approving a referendum question for November's election. Its focus is on updating and adding to a handful of school buildings. That need in part coming from growing enrollment and aging facilities. At Farm Tech Days, you get to learn about maple syrup production, and of course, you get to learn about some innovations in the dairy industry.
This was not accidental. This was not confusion. This was not a mistake. This was planned, intentional conduct.
In this Eau Claire County courtroom, Roger Mink learned his sentence to the charges connected with the death of Toby Cleasby. According to an autopsy, Cleasby died of a drug overdose. Before he died, a criminal complaint says Cleasby had gone to Mink's house to buy drugs.
No one needs to be told that it's wrong to traffic drugs. No one needs to be told that it's wrong to hide a body and lie to the victim's family when they're asking about his whereabouts.
Eau Claire Assistant District Attorney Kelly Ronquist says Mink hid Cleasby's body at his brother's home. Hiding a corpse is one of 3 charges a jury found Mink guilty of last year. They also convicted Mink on the charge of delivery of narcotics and maintaining a drug trafficking place. Before Eau Claire County Judge John Manydeeds gave out his sentence, Cleasby's family shared how the death has impacted their lives.
Drugs are killing homes, families, and destroying our hope. Imagine searching for your loved one for 31 days, asking yourself over and over, will you ever find them? Will it be in one piece? How were they hurt? And how will I deal with not finding them?
Mink's attorney, Roger Hillstad, also read a letter on behalf of his client.
To the Cleasby family, I would like to apologize. I know this is the most difficult and emotional day for the Cleasby family, and I am sorry for that. I'm aware that Toby Cleasby will be missed dearly.
Taking these into consideration, Judge Manydeeds said one of the things he had to weigh was trust.
It is disturbing in so many ways, and what this ultimately comes down to, in my mind, is an issue of trust. Can we trust Mr. Mink being out in the community?
For the judge, the answer is no. He sentenced Mink to 12 years in prison plus 10 years of supervised release. After learning Mink's fate, Cleasby's widow, Tony, says the sentence is bringing her family closure.
For us, it's finally going to be able to put it to rest and heal the way we should have when Toby was actually passed away. We were deprived of that then, and now we can grieve together as a family with this over with.
Community members gathered outside the Eau Claire County Government Center Tuesday evening to protest the uncertain future of Roe v. Wade. Activist Kristen Dupre says she's concerned about what the potential Supreme Court ruling may lead to.
This could be the beginning and not the end of rights being taken away.
She was one of many people who turned out to let their voices be heard in Eau Claire. Speakers shared their fears for the future.
Imagining a world in which I get pregnant against my will and have to carry that to term is horrifying.
Those gathered at the Government Center marched to Owen Park. For Gloria Hochstein with the Eau Claire County Democratic Party, she remembers life before the original Supreme Court ruling.
When I was in college, people had all these homemade remedies to help it along, and most of them were very dangerous, and some were fatal.
As those at Tuesday's rally expressed their fears of a future post-Roe v. Wade, some community members who are pro-life say they're also concerned.
I am worried. There is so much polarization already in the United States, and I'm worried about just more anger and more fighting and more worried and more division.
While she believes life begins at conception, Black says she has empathy for both sides. The group Pro-Life Wisconsin is cautiously optimistic about what a potential Supreme Court ruling could mean.
We do hope for a day where, we always say here at Pro-Life Wisconsin, we hope for a day where no more mothers cry and no more babies die.
If Roe v. Wade is struck down, Pro-Life Wisconsin says it will work to make sure every person in the state can enjoy their rights as citizens, whether unborn or born.
He was a larger-than-life personality, if I had to say anything. He had many, many friends.
Nick was a 6 foot, 200-some pound man, and he had the heart of a teddy bear.
Catherine Frederick and Wendy Buck both lost their sons, Nick and Sam, to drug overdoses in 2017.
Sam died alone, and it was, I wasn't expecting the call, but I'm a parent that got that call.
Frederick says Sam's addiction began in high school, spiraling from marijuana use to different drugs, including opioids. For Buck's son, Nick, it began with a prescription.
Started when he used to be doing roofing, and he fell off a roof and hurt his back. And of course went to the doctor, and they prescribed some OxyContin.
As a nationwide lawsuit works its way through the courts against the makers of opioids, states and counties across the country will be receiving millions of dollars in a settlement. In Eau Claire, the county expects to receive around $3.3 million during 18 years.
It still has to go through the court process, so it's not finalized yet. Right now, we're anticipating that sometime in 2022, we'll receive potentially 2 payments of around $137,000 each.
Eau Claire County Administrator Catherine Schaaf says the settlement money will go toward opioid and other drug abatement programs. Each county is given a list of what the settlement money can be used on. Schaaf says the county is creating a task force to help decide how the money should be spent.
It's going to be whichever approach is determined to give us the best result for the people in our community. And so we'll base it on the known needs of our community.
For Buck and Frederick, they hope to see money spent on things like making overdose reversal drugs like Narcan more accessible, as well as education, treatment, and mentorship programs for those in recovery.
I think we all as a community need to take an active role, because like I say, it could be your son or daughter or husband or wife or somebody, a loved one.
I'm just an average working mom. And if it can happen in my family, it can happen to anyone's family. And that hole it doesn't go away. You can't refill that.